Some years ago, in Europe, there was a family, an observant family, good family, and they had a child who unfortunately was born without the gift of sight. The child was born blind. And of course, they wanted to educate this child. He was intelligent, but he was blind. In those days, there wasn't yet the braille, the ability of a person being able to read via blind person reading via braille. So this child was assigned an assistant, and this assistant guided him and took him all over. And this child demonstrated a tremendous love for books, books that he could not read. And he would go into a synagogue, he would go to a library in someone's house, in a house, a synagogue primarily, where there were these libraries, and he would feel the books, and he would smell the leather binding, and he would had his hands would caress the ink on the pages, and he would feel them, and he related, and while he was told he was being educated and taught, he used to feel and touch these books with great passion and great love. One day they went into a synagogue in this town, and he went directly to he stumbled his way to the bookshelves, and there he found these huge ancient leather-bound tombs, these big books, these books of Talmud, and he took one of the books out, and he sat down at the table with the book, caressing its pages, and as he was turning the pages, he found some object inserted into the tomb, into this book. He took them out, and he took this object out, and it was a pair of spectacles, the old age spectacles, which were just basically two pieces of glass with which were perched on one's nose. And he took these spectacles, feeling them, knowing what they were, this blind boy feeling them, and he put them on his nose. And suddenly there was a flood of light. And suddenly he started seeing things. He took them off immediately, in shock and in fright. For the first time, he saw. And he thought maybe he's hallucinating. And he put them into his pocket, and they went home. When he came home, he experimented once again. He put on these spectacles, and there was a flood of light. And suddenly he looked around, and he looked outside, and he saw trees, gardens. He was amazed, he was shocked. One can imagine the first time in one's life he's seeing. And he put them back into his pocket, but there was something about him. The family saw that something's going on in Baruch's life, and he told the parents of his find. And he put on these spectacles, and he could see. Baruch's sight had been restored totally by these spectacles. Baruch and his parents went back to the synagogue, and they went to explore who did this belong to, and they found the Gemara, this Talmud that the spectacles had been inserted into, and they took out the Gemara, and they found written on this Gemara was the name of the great sage called the Pnei Yehoshua. This was the Gemara of the Pnei Yehoshua, and these were the spectacles of the Pnei Yehoshua. And in some way, somehow, these spectacles had brought sight to Baruch. Baruch then immersed himself, now he could see, he immersed himself into his studies, he became a great scholar. He then went into the world of business and became a very significant businessman. And Baruch, the name, his surname was Brill. Brill means glasses, means spectacles. Baruch Brill. Baruch Brill was granted eyesight for his entire life because of the spectacles of the Pnei Yehoshua. Now, this is a story that happened. You ask, if you meet someone by the name of Brill, they will tell you this is a story that permeates this very family. That this Brill family stemmed from Baruch, or as he was known as Reb Baruch Brill, Baruch of spectacles. And everyone knows it was the glasses, the spectacles of the great sage, the Pnei Yehoshua. Sometimes a holy person, a great person, can inject, by using an inanimate physical object, he can inject powers into that object. And this can become the very sustenance of our life, the very essence of a person's ability to function and to see perpetrated by the greatness of the great tzaddik, the Pnei Yehoshua.